Data from the National Association of Realtors shows single women were 19%, about 1/5 of all home buyers last year. That's compared to just 10% who were single men.
Why do you think women are outperforming men in home ownership?
A recent Good Morning America expose covered the growing disparity in the number of homes being purchased by single women over single men. In men's circles, the explanation for this may vary from not wanting to buy a home and be tethered to a place without having a family first, to wanting to invest in other things, to even a lack of desire to take on the risk-reward of home ownership. But let's listen to Good Morning America's explanation.
They're more likely to be caregivers. They're more likely to be perhaps a single mom, have a multi-generational home with an elderly relative in it. And so they want a stable residence and to know exactly what their payment is going to be.
In America's past, the purchase of a home was a signal of the start of a family unit. As well as an investment property, purchase of the first family home was a signal that a man and woman were getting ready to settle down and start a family. This, of course, is a relic of a time that has long passed. Here, we get to see an example of the new, modern American home buyer.
So this is it?
This is it.
This is your house?
Yes.
Let's see it.
Okay.
After years of paying rent, 30-year-old Kristen Holmes dreamed of walking through the front door of her own home.
It feels like my own.
She saved up $80,000 for a down payment. And after 3 years of house hunting, finally closed the deal on a fixer-upper in Hyattsville, Maryland.
Right in line with the decline of family formation, we see a rise in single women purchasing homes. And just how much has the rate of married couples buying homes fallen and the rise of single women home buyers risen?
Her realtor, Cheryl Abrams-Davis, says homes is part of a broader trend. Single women scooping up homes for sale.
In 2023, of the people who purchased homes, 6 of the 13 buyers were unmarried women.
So your own data shows that about half of people who buy homes are single women.
Certainly, I applaud any woman that is moving forward with home ownership, as it is a milestone in adulthood that more and more young people are not achieving in the changing economy. But it's not necessarily about women owning homes that caught my attention about this news story. It was this particular comment that really got me thinking. The first person, a gentleman I presume, said, "This is the product of 50 years of putting women and girls first. Women are now more educated and own homes at a higher rate. Waiting for the women to now take the well-being of young boys and men as seriously as we took advancing women." The reply, "You can't be serious. Women fought for everything we have. The idea that y'all need women to advocate and fight for you and your sons is ridiculous. In fact, is pretty weak." This got me to question, simply, as women prosper more in society designed to help women succeed, do women owe anything back to said society, or will certain narratives continue? It is here where I saw the news story that really got me thinking about the answer to this question.
Now, as we celebrate Black History Month on GMA, this morning we're looking at mental health among Black women in particular and how the culture of struggling in silence is now changing with a new generation. Deborah Roberts sat down with 2 women who are paving the way.
A YouTube search for Good Morning America, Black men's mental health, revealed this search. What is overwhelmingly clear is that outside of a few TED Talks, the wide variety of talk about Black mental health slant in one particular direction. In Black History Month, it's quite interesting indeed to see the coverage of Black mental health be centered on a network like ABC, primarily around one side of the Black community. And this video, within a week of the first video, explains the expectations that come from said attention.
But in communities of color, the conversation can be a little tricky, particularly amongst older women who prioritize strength and perseverance. Yet a mom and daughter from Maryland are trying to bridge that divide.
I would tell her about, other things going on with myself physically, but when it came to mental health, it just wasn't a discussion that we had in our family.
From a small child, my emotions, you suppress them, you suck it up, you keep it moving.
Lauren and Glenda Boone expressing a long-held belief among Black women: keep your struggles and your innermost feelings to yourself.
It is in the comments of this video that I saw an interesting dynamic playing itself out. Wow, it's Black History Month and they separate Black women and men from mental illness? America is terrible. We can't even stand together in mental health, shaking my head. I never knew that black women was a different subgroup from other black people. Let the media tell it they experienced the black experience different from everyone else. Who knew? Extreme sarcasm.
The strong black woman is the image that we admire. Did you ever think about paying attention to your mental wellness?
Never. I never thought about taking care of my mental health because my generation was taught when you talked about mental, you automatically thought mental illness. And so it was very difficult for me to even consider taking care of my mental health.
This is sexist. What about black men and their mental health? Boycott the show for sexism. Reply, what about black men's? Part of our mental issues come from centering black men and ignoring ourselves. We need to talk about black men depression, because they have always been taught to suck it up and move on without complaining or venting if needed, and suffering more in silence than women, since men don't have a support system themselves to be able to open up about their issues as well.
That's what we call the superwoman schema. I can do it all, push through, persevere. If I'm distressed, it's my fault and my responsibility. So going to a therapist means I'm not doing my job, ultimately.
Black women dating, marrying interracially, or with same-gender loving partners will alleviate this issue. Considering the position the men in our community have put us in, I'd say we have every right to be angry and have an attitude.
But that thinking slowly changing in communities of color.
Black women, we have always been like having to put on a mask like everything's okay.
Thanks partly to well-known figures who are bravely opening up publicly.
We are usually everybody's therapist.
What about men? Right, as if black women are the only ones who have been through trials and tribulations. STFU, it's black women we're talking about. In no way do I want to belittle the importance of mental health, but it is in this environment where inside of a week, Good Morning America first highlights the mental health issues of black women, and in the same week, 7 days later, celebrates that half of homes being purchased in 2024 are by single women. Concurrently, we see young boys, and particularly young black boys, struggling, particularly in reading. As Good Morning America chooses Black History Month as a month to focus on black women's mental health, the question becomes, in a time where black women are purchasing homes at a faster rate than ever before without marriage, will those that are succeeding ever turn their focus to those in the black community that are suffering the most? This, of course, being young boys, and particularly young black boys.
A less than quality pool of men.
Black women are excelling. They're getting accelerated degrees, graduate degrees, doctorate degrees. They're starting businesses. Black women are running circles around men.
As men, we understand there's a level of sacrifice we owe either to our family, our community, our society, our country, or all four. This can be seen in us having to register for the Selective Service, to Chris Rock's joke that only women, children, and dogs are loved unconditionally. But if there were ever a time where the growing empowered women, and in this case black women, owe the struggling boys of said community, and yes, black boys are indeed struggling, the fruits of their success, that time may just be now. Because in order to grow strong men, the kind of men that women would want to marry, or they'd want their daughters to marry, you have to invest in black boys. But don't take my word for it, because someone made a perfect rant on this just particular subject almost a decade ago.
So that's not what I'm upset about. What I'm so mad about is you keep on blaming the black male for the destruction of the black community. You keep blaming the male. How come the black man doesn't step up? How come he doesn't build? How come he doesn't take control of the family? How come he doesn't earn the black woman's loyalty by taking his place and competing against white males? That's what you keep saying, and that's what we keep hearing. You can't get black males to build. You can't get black males to stand up and be men like you want them to be men if you don't give them tools as boys. Black women have always preferred their girls over their boys. That's always been the case. Every black male I've ever talked to that had sisters, the women have always had preference in the black family. That's always the case.
The frustration that you hear from BGS is a frustration shared by many, if not most, black men. Black men are asked to perform an impossible task: build Wakanda with no resources, without support, while being told that you're dusty, and without being invested in as much as boys from other communities. When a young boy sees Good Morning America focusing on the successes of black women purchasing homes and at the same time focusing on the mental issues of black women, it places the caring black boy and black men in a quandary. Black women are empowered and are buying homes at a faster rate than ever without the need to be married to black men. But at the same time, they're suffering a special level of mental health anguish that separates them from the suffering of black men. This, of course, leaves mental health suffering to black men on the outside looking in. And what of black boys, who more and more find themselves moving into homes without witnessing marriage, a growing norm of family formation without fathers, a new challenging of what normative masculinity is, all the while facing the underpinnings that his mere existence as a black male is defective. It puts young boys and eventually black men in a lose-lose position. Enforce traditional masculinity, you're toxic. Attempt to conform to a more understanding modern masculinity, yes! 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 And you can watch a balloon being popped in your face as your masculinity is challenged. For a growing number of black men, it's not merely the specter of struggle love that is driving them to SYSBM passport bros, but of struggle indifference. Indifference to the unique struggles of black men that have more and more black men exiting the game altogether. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.